Okay, so one thing I want to be clear on from my previous video I made. Um, if you do decide to contribute to the mapping or investigation or photographing of the infrastructures around us, towns, cities, in between rural areas specifically, because like I said before, there are underground structures that has extraterrestrial entities, the Dracos or the reptilian races, even the Anunnaki, even though I think the Anunnaki is more orbiting outside the 3.5 dimensional reality, while we are in dimensions 1 through 3, in between the third and fourth dimension. They can actually stay housed there and be camouflaged and invisible to our instrumentation and stuff. But that's not the point. So when you go down this path, there's a lot of things that you're going to need to know. So first things, full disclosure, is that there is something called frequency fences. Frequency fences seems to be, to the best of my knowledge, utilized by cell towers, radio cell towers. I did a little bit of investigation as far as, where are we? Volunteer. Is in the cell towers, and I noticed that in the trades, in like the trade schools, there isn't a class for that. Like when you go into electricians, like they talk about high voltage, low voltage, high wire kind of designations, but there's nothing about cellular radio telecommunications, right? Which is interesting. That's strange, and that kind of tells me that they don't want people with the information of being able to recognize when they are putting other software or hardware in these cell towers for different purposes. And it also sounds like, from just like a video that I watched from a guy working in the field, is that they actually hire people, these cell phone radio tower contractors. They hire people with little experience, and then they train them themselves, and they probably just train them on how to install and connect wires and like what equipment to put up, without and they probably withhold actually like what these devices are actually doing, which is actually a clever way of going about it if you want to maintain discretion. So I'm trying to find that's not it. Should be a bridge. Trying to find bridge. Right here. Right there. Holographic insert cell tower. So here we got this cell tower that I found, and I was just going exploring all these back routes, going around taking things, it even looks like that these extraterrestrials actually travel on the surface as well, other than just underground, even though I think their main traffic is underground. But they do travel, and they shapeshift, so they can be animals, they can be anything they want, right? And I think they travel more at night, but you always just see like holes like in the vegetation. So I like document it anytime I see any wet dirt, right? Any kind of like thing where you can like maybe try to get a footprint. Like I'll try to take pictures of it. I'll go at an angle with the flashlight and try to get the shadow, showing the indentation, so I can get a better picture of it. But like all throughout here, and it even seems like any of these areas right here where you see all these woods, like you see the separation of all these houses and all these these jungles right here, you'll see like lines going all the way through it. Something is traveling through it. It could be just regular animals, but with the volume that it appears, it's not. So, and of course, you can't determine the size, but it's like all around here. All of these little houses that's like all secluded and isolated. I understand people like privacy and stuff, but there's a limit, right? Where I was just like, dude, this is like really out of the way of like private. Like, it looks like to me like they don't want people knowing what the fuck they're doing. And you got sex trafficking, human consumption. They get all these little children. There's like, they said there's like 200 million children or something like that goes missing every year on the globe. And what they do is they get these children, they rape them, they breed them, right? and then they have them, they just like, leave them inside their farm or something, and then they just like give them the scraps, bare minimum, rape them on a daily basis, getting all that sex magic going. And then, when they have babies, they like babies because the babies are more pure. They're not as contaminated, is probably the best way, from like the things that we breathe. They poison our food, they poison our water, they poison the air. So like that like tarnishes the human body, right? And of course, that's probably not tasteful or appealing, right? So they get the babies, which is a newborn, which is like has like less of these distortions, and they consume them, and they just repeat the process. So literally, you'll have like a little girl in there from like when she's like 8 years old to the moment that she can have children, and then like for like their whole life, that's all she's doing is just putting out babies, and then it's just being consumed, right? And that's what I think is really going on behind like all this, like this house right here, suspect as fuck. You got this whole trees right here blocking the whole back view of all this, like, strange isolation. No one's going through this river, like super isolated, and then like you just look at like what's going on, like what the fuck, it like, what I'm saying? And like there's a lot of farming going on, but like I don't think there's that much farming. What I'm saying? Like I think the government needs to really like look into like all these IRS stuff, looking at these entities, looking at this agricultural, these lands, and like getting these documents and seeing like where this money is going, because there's also how they're also laundering money. But anyway, so you got this radio tower here, and what's crazy about this one is I didn't break in, do anything in here, but you obviously got this housing right there, this little shack, that has like all this equipment, high equipment. I actually broke into one of these and I got arrested for it, but it was worth the risk, and like took all that shit out, documented every single little thing, knowing that, well, hoping that someone is viewing like my iCloud and all that stuff, and they're getting all these photos. I can't confirm that or not. They're not going to confirm it. I don't want them to confirm it, right? Because that'll just compromise the integrity of the investigation. But yeah, I broke that lock. I went in there, grabbed all that shit, and then like I'm reading like these documents and stuff, and holy shit, like there is way more going on with these radio towers. And then even like on the front of the fence, like just reading the signs is like so clear. Like just take pictures of it, because there's a lot of like people who are installing these facilities who know that they're doing something wrong, but they can't do anything about it because of the systems that I'm going to explain in a little bit. But they like try to provide clues, like like anyone with eyes to see who are looking, like here's the evidence to try to point you down a path. So like they're like, that's why you really have to be careful with how we judge some of these people that are doing these things. Like there's a lot of effort. Like when I was studying like Hawaii, it was just like clear as day that like people from like 60-70 years ago was like deliberate designing like in architecture and stuff like for failing systems, so that eventually when this actually fails, you'll get eyes in, and people like who are like actually like paying attention, they'll notice it's like, like there's a lot of weird shit going on here. Like I saw a lot of like high transformer solar panels that I've never seen before in like parking garages and stuff. Every fucking roof in Hawaii had like solar panels on there, but of course electricity is still like through the roof. It's just like nuts. And of course that's because they're powering underground structures. That's where that energy is going, and then they're raising the cost from you so that they can extract the money from you. It's just like siphoning the shit out of the human race. But this one, not only did it say Verizon and AT&T on the front, but it said that this radio tower is exempted from FCC regulation reporting or whatever. So I'm like, what the fuck? Like you're telling me that you actually got cell towers here that you are not required to report to the Federal Communications Commission what the fuck you're doing? Right? And it's like clear as fucking day. I'm just like, holy shit. Like, and it's just like, dude, that's what we need to know. That's what we need to see, because they don't regulate none of it. Like, there's no oversight. The FCC is like highly compromised, like deliberately so. So that's just an example I want to give you with that. But the point I'm talking about this cell tower has, I think it's the magnetosphere, which is an artificial magnetosphere, and they're able to read the bioenergetic systems of the human body, because we, through like, from like the medical technology that we understand now, through like CT scans or like, brainwave scans, like we're constantly putting out an energetic field, and that's where our thoughts are, our actions and all that stuff. So with this like frequency fence or this, surrounding, fence is the best way I can put it. they're able to monitor all our thoughts, all our emotions, all our feelings, all our visual cortex, everything that we see, everything that we think, all that stuff. So all that stuff is going on. So I'm going to lay out the blueprint of how you have to be able to navigate through this. Also, they're able to utilize tapping into insects, plant life as a means to monitor and like track your movements and stuff. I even had like, recently I had insects like attacking me and stuff. Like, I love the insects. I know they love me too, but something is forcing and compelling them to like attack and try to like put probably, bio warfare, has some sort of disease or just trying to create conflict in my life. So like I have to like plan, like, limit like how much I go outside, or I gotta cover up. I'm just not phased by any of it. And if something happens to me, so be it. Like, it's like it's for the mission. If I end up going out tomorrow, I know that I did everything I could to make the world a better place, and I'm good with that. I'm content with that. I will go through the next life at peace and then ready to reincarnate and do this shit right over again. So that being said, first thing you're gonna have to do, after you get the White House app, after you notify the administration of what you're about to do it before you do anything. Do it, even tell them if you're thinking about it, if you're considering it, just give them the heads up. The more time they have, the more that they can plan around it and start like, if they can. I'm not saying they will or that they're not, but this is like, since they're monitoring everything, that is the reason why everything is being gaslit, like on the media and stuff, and why like, everything has to be in code, because you also have to like, you don't want the enemy to know what you're doing, right? Because then they're going to do counter attempts and stuff. So this is like super full disclosure, and I'm not going to say it, I'm not going to repeat it either. It's going to be the only two videos, but I'm going to give you the how-to on how to work this through. That being said, if they can monitor everything, our thoughts and other people's thoughts, and they control other people by, our friends, our family, acquaintances, giving us a hard time, putting all this drama in our life, that's not them. They're being forced to do that to try to deter you and stress you out into compliance, into subservience, into just allowing the shit to continue. So you have to be able to put your boundaries up. Leave the negative situations when you can. If anytime people approach me while I'm doing these investigations, I just get out of the way. I don't even give them a chance to say anything. I just leave. It's like, oh, that's a sign that I need to move, keep moving. And sometimes I might circle back later or another day or something and continue, while they're not around. But you start doing this and they get the picture, and then you just keep moving forward. You go to the next site, you go to the next place. So that being said, also what you're gonna have to do is, since they have they also use, it seems like these entities don't actively monitor this frequency fence or device. It seemed to have some sort of sophisticated AI, probably superior to anything that we have, with the preset parameters on how they want things controlled, what to be aware of. It's an intelligent AI. So what you also have to keep in mind is that they have, like, how Walmart has the super sophisticated facial recognition scanning, and then the airports, and then the IDs, the real IDs, all that stuff is to get facial recognition identification for you. So that way, when they're trying to identify who is trying to snooping around where they don't want to be snooping around, they have something to go off of. Your social media accounts, all that stuff, same thing. They use that to create an identity or profile you. And then they can track you by either tapping into other people who are looking around, insects that are looking around, bugs, and animals, birds, all that stuff. So what I do is I got an eye patch. I was in Hawaii. I went to Goodwill, and they had some specials of like when Halloween was going through. I bought like 3 of those eye patches, modified it to where it was more comfortable, and then I got a COVID mask, right, and just covered my whole facial identity. This worked perfectly because, like I said, it like. If they can't track your movements, then they can't try to sabotage you. They can't try to set up accidents. They'll do like strategic things. Like, like I'll get a phone call from some random person, right? And then conveniently, as soon as I get that phone call and I'm distracted, there'll be like someone right in front of me that I'll just slow down to do it like an abrupt right turn, trying to get me to rear end them to cause an accident. Right. I've seen in Hawaii where, like, before I was trying to get to work to get some money, they actually had a collision that happened on this 2-lane road where a person on a bike went head on head with a woman and he died. right? So like they'll do this to try to sabotage your efforts and stuff. So you got to be mindful. So anytime I'm driving, like if I see a motorcycle or a bicycle or a pedestrian, I go very slow and I stay clear. I'll pull over, put the hazards on, and let that guy go by, because I don't want him just to get, just turn right all of a sudden and then go underneath the car, and then now you got a potential manslaughter or accident or murder thing, depending on the situation and the governing factors of it. Especially if you're trying to document this stuff on your phone, you're distracted. So like it's very strategic. Like it's all psychological warfare. So you really have to put yourself on game and start thinking like the enemy and how they would try to work around you. So again, doing this also at night, 10 p.m. at the earliest, but I would go a little bit later, like 12 o'clock, let the people kind of go to sleep. The streets are open, and like when in the few car movements around you, you'll probably notice that they're probably trying to lead you in a certain way. I can't go into that details on that system because that's still confidential, and I don't want to jeopardize the integrity of the investigation. So you're gonna have to figure that out on your own. But you'll notice that when the streets are clear, it's a lot more easier in rural areas, not really high population cities and stuff. Even though I think the same thing applies. Even Vegas was dead at that night. So that's what I'll do. And I'll go at it till like 4 o'clock, until my body's just ready to go home, or I'm tired, I'm hungry, whatever the case may be. I play it by ear. So I do that. You're gonna get the face mask, you're gonna get the eye patch, cover your identity, wear all black. If it when it gets colder, you can put the black hoodie on. You don't want anything to identify you. Next thing you're gonna have to do is protect your vehicle, right? If you can within your state, remove the front plate. Go and get one of those tinted license plate covers. The next step I would recommend is to modify your license plate. I've seen them do this in Hawaii a lot. They actually didn't crack down on it because they knew that's what they were doing, because they were tracking everyone's. They can use the cameras. They'll use anything just to track where your movements. Just to see where you're at, who's going through, what the concentration volume is, and what you can do is, since technically it's your property, since you purchased the plate and it's not technically the government, as long as you don't try to make the numbers appear as other numbers, to where that would be they would try to probably justify misleading kind of thing. You can hide it because the license plate has a reflective coating on it that allows it to where any kind of light, any kind of flash, is able to capture it. So what you can do is just sand your whole plate, right? Sand the whole thing to where it's just bare metal, to where the cop is going to actually have to get close to it, whatever the case, or damage it, make it look like it was just wear and tear. Shit, go, if it's raining, go drive hauling ass through like a muddy puddle and just sprinkle fucking mud on there, to where it's like you just have plausible deniability. Be like, oh, I didn't know that, officer, we're good if they pull you over. But again, that's why it's important for you to contact Trump, because then they'll let they'll back off a little bit. They'll give you some freeway, because that's what they need. They need information, so they'll work with you. Cover the plate so that way the AI can't identify where your location is. They can't put people around you trying to look for you. That's important. So you got your car secure, you got your face secure. The next step is using VPNs on your phone. Use the VPN on your phone, because like I said, just as we identified with the cell tower, it's Verizon and it's AT&T and all these other companies, even these cheap cell phone companies, use the same cell towers. So they don't even need to really hack your phone per se with coding and stuff. They control the towers that you get your service from. So literally they could just tap into that service, and then they know what you're coming in and out of your phone already. So the best thing that you can do is get a VPN. I use Private Internet Access, PIA VPN. I actually was able to score that, because when they first were coming out, they had a whole year subscription for $10. Fuck yeah, right? So I've been using that one. And what you want to do is, anytime that you're doing research on the phone, when you're looking up, companies or these building structures, trying to get any kind of information you can online, you'll start to notice that your internet will stop working, or you won't be able to load up pages and stuff. Anytime that happens, automatically I switch the VPN to a different location. Only use United States hubs. Every state will have a different city that you can connect to. I fucked up because when I went to a different country just to try something new, that opened the whole door, and they just fucked my whole phone up. So stay within the United States, and constantly switch it. Make it a habit to probably every day, every morning, throughout the day, just keep switching your VPN, because they will have to manually try to brute force and because with the VPN is an intermediary. So your phone has an IP address, right? And that is being sent to the cell tower. And that is every time you're transmitting data from your phone, whether that's through your GPS, through anything, and depending on how your settings are, they're getting a direct connection to your phone's identification. So a VPN is kind of an intermediary for that, right? So what happens is it goes through these hubs, and then that hub has its own IP address. Every time you reconnect to these hubs, you get a new IP address. So it has to go and hack through that hub of the VPN service, and then try to hack from that to your phone to try to get a location on who's using whatever, right? It takes time, and trust me, like, it's worked great. I think they've been working around it, so it's not working as great, but the more people that keep doing this, the harder it is. You just don't want to make things easy for them. So that's important. Sometimes, when you're going around these doing these investigations, it might be wise, depending on if you're has high sensitive areas, to put your phone on airplane mode. That's difficult to do, unfortunately. I wish that Apple and Google would have the offline maps with the satellite data, because that helps a lot. But when you go in airplane mode, it gives you, just the streets. It's the default view. I actually don't need to do that. So I always kept my internet on because, like I said, I felt like, you know, yeah. So keep that in mind. I'm just giving you all my, the whole toolkit right here. Do that from your everyday activities. Get the VPN. Same thing with your internet. Get the VPN. Use that to just make things difficult for them, and it protects you. Because when I start loading up documents, when I'm doing law research, looking at companies, and it starts to slow down. As soon as I swap that VPN, it loads right away. Boom. So it's boom. That just confirms the issue. The second trick is that when that VPN is not working, what you want to do is go airplane mode for 10 seconds and then take it out of airplane mode. Because what happens is when you disconnect from that cell tower, it'll reconnect to the closest cell tower. Sometimes it keeps you connected to that cell tower that they are monitoring you with, and they don't allow your cell phone to get connect to this closest cell tower. So when you put it in the airplane mode, you kind of refresh it, and then it connects to a different cell tower, and then therefore now it has to restart the whole process of trying to jailbreak or brute force or whatever software that they have that they're using. So now you got your phone secure, you got your car secure, you got your face secure. The second thing you're going to have to do this is where it's going to get a little bit more on the complexity issue, is if they can monitor your thoughts, your actions, your mind and stuff. Basically what you have to do is you have to split your attention. So essentially what you have to do is, as you're going throughout your activities, you need to put half of your attention on something else, on a sound. If it's the weed whacker going across next door, if it's a plane flying in the air, if it's the water creek going next time, if it's the sound of your car as it's running through the road, as it bumps and stuff, you want to put your attention on that while you're doing your activities, because what ends up happening is the AI will then have its attention on what you're putting yourself attention on, and not to the activities that you're doing. You don't want to stay on just one thing. Even playing music is also important that you do that, because like I said, it then is focusing on the music and not on what you're actually doing. But you don't want to stay focused on it, for too long, because then it's a learning system. So you want to keep flowing your attention, just going around. So you can even do it to your body, right? Just feeling the presence of your body, feeling your breath, feeling the weight of their clothes on your skin, feeling the temperature of the air against your skin. I've actually gotten to the point where I've been trying to practice feeling every sensation on my body, and then kind of retracting in, trying to keep my energy within me, so that way these energy sucking entities can't just, because you're constantly sending out energy, right? Unconsciously, it's projecting out. You're a transmitter, right? So you have to consciously kind of pull that energy in, right? And then that does that does good about protecting energy, because what you'll notice too is what's been my issue is that my energy just gets fucking drained. I can tell you right now, I feel like I got leeches on my body that's just sucking the energy out of me, and that's what they're trying to do to deter you, to slow you down, to prevent you from moving forward. And that's why I had to use illegal drugs like meth, to just keep the mission going full force, right? And it did so many more things. It made me think better, everything across the board. Now I, got diagnosed with ADHD, and I got legal stuff. So and I'm not abusing that, and that's helping a lot. Not as good, but it works. So I'm good with that. So I'm just putting you on game, just giving you all the information you need to know. So with that, and then sometimes when you get into high sensitive areas, you'll know, like especially like at night, the whole environment will charge. Like the environment will charge. Things will get louder. You'll just start seeing a bunch of cars start bombing through. Cars will start coming in checking you out when there's like no reason to do that, right? So when that starts to happen, what I would recommend you do is either get back into your car, you know, pull the seat down and close your eyes and do exactly what I said about putting your attention to other things, right? One thing I also noticed too is that they'll also create, because they're trying to lock on to your perception. So they'll make sounds, right? Like the grasshoppers will start cricking, and they want you to get your attention onto the grasshopper so they can try to pinpoint your location. So what you actually have to do is whenever you hear sounds, you have to put your attention at the opposite of that sound. And every time that sound moves, you have to move that kind of, like if you can imagine the best way to experience it is kind of like how Call of Duty was, where like if you get hit and it has that little kind of like that bar that shows the direction at which someone's shooting at you, it'll be like the back right or the back left, you know, and it kind of rotates depending on like the movement of the enemy kind of thing. You know, it has like a full circle. It's kind of like a compass, right? So that's kind of how you have to do, and you got to go opposite. Like when it comes to a noise, you got to like put your attention at the at 180 degrees from that, and then just move against it, and just keep it moving, keep it moving. You do that for about 5 to 20 minutes, and then you'll just notice that like the AI will be like won't be able to locate you, and it moves on and then keeps like scanning the environment, right? You know, so, and then that's helpful. And then you can continue doing what you were just doing. But you want to get out of sight. That's why I recommend getting into your car. Make sure you have your face mask on, because they're looking for you, using every resource they can to do that. So you have to just get out of sight, get out of the people's line of sight. So while they're looking, they can't identify you, right? And then you just kind of like, you go ghost, you know, you just kind of like, you just turned on, what was that called in Call of Duty? Ghost mode kind of thing. Like you just do that temporarily, and then you get back and get to your shit. So that is what you have to do. Like I said, you're gonna have to use your own resources until Trump pulls the trigger. Whenever that is, it could be a while, could be nothing. Depends. It depends on how we can. The more information we have, the faster we can move. So that's why we need people to take steps and start mapping this stuff. I want to go show you some of the photos that I took, just so you can kind of see. Let's see. Months. December. No, we're gonna do July. And sometimes when I find locations, I'll screenshot it so that way it's in my phone, right? So like this one, this is where I started out in the other video. You know, I'm seeing these locations, these things sitting up. You already saw that. Books, saw that. Trying to get peaks, you know, like I said, any kind of name brands of these companies, right? You want to get all that stuff. Sometimes you even want to take videos. I had to use the flashlight at night. You know, the flashlight on the camera is not far enough. So a Streamlight or any cheap one light at AutoZone that's rechargeable. And you kind of have to like dance with it, you know, and then take notes. Like even like while you're recording, like if you're seeing something, if you see something peculiar, they may not catch that on the video. So you want to help them, give them as much information as like, what is this? What is that? Just keep asking questions, right? Yeah, so this is that crazy ass facility. Crazy one was I went to the high school that was like almost next door, and Jesus Christ, like this is fucking nuts. Like I was kind of wondering, you know, they have this thing was super suspect. I mean, just you just even go on view on your maps on the surrounding areas, like you'd be surprised what you find. And I found some like really peculiar shit. So when I was working at Advance Auto, one of the main contracts that they had at Advance Auto was they serviced a lot of vehicles in this place. And guess what this place is? BAE Systems Ordnance Systems, or Holstrom Ammunition Dump. Now this is what really fucked me up. And I noticed, I think, see. Take a look. They just, you know, I don't even understand. Like, they have all these little train tracks around here, and they just have abandoned fucking, like, trains on it. Like, so, hold on. And check this shit out. Like, do you see this train, like, I don't know if that's like an edit in like Apple mapping. Maybe they're trying to hide something, but this train just looks beat the fuck up. And like that thing is like floating on nothing. Like it honestly looks like something is like eating the metal on this train, right? And it's like that across the whole thing, right? And so this whole BAE was just like super suspect, right? And then like you got all around this thing, you got more train tracks here. Look, and it's just like, like what the fuck? Like that's a giant ass metal track. Like that does not, Rust doesn't even do that. Like, see, like, what the fuck? Like, how, what, what is it? And then like the building structures are even like weird. Like this is like, look how like, like, I don't, I don't even like this whole thing is like weird. Is I don't know what kind of ammunition place this is, what they're testing at this fucking place, but this whole thing is just like, what are they doing? Like, are they blocking it from the frequency fence or something, or is that like a case like in a nuclear warhead happened? Like this is like a blast shield or something, or like in case something blows up, like they're protected so that way it doesn't like ignite other ones. But then like they got all these little tunnels and stuff, but this thing just even looks just run down as shit, to be honest. Like the facilities, like you just like kind of take a look at stuff and it's like I don't even like dude, like this is like, and there's like a lot of shit going on here and I don't even know. I have so many fucking questions. I'm just like, what the fuck. But let's continue. So and then so here, more train tracks. I didn't know you can do that. Same thing. It's kind of beaten down, and then it's just like, more train tracks, and then like I'm just looking at like this part over here, and they just got so much piping going on. Like I don't even know what, like, if this is a chemical plant too, I guess, but you need to run it like all the way the fuck, around. Look at this building. Like it's just like deteriorated to shit. Like they're like that, you just leave it like that. Like this thing looks like it was hit with like a nuclear warhead already. And like I just don't know who's running this fucking thing. And like it's a super hush hush. You talk to anyone that works at this place and it's like they don't say shit. So like, and I get that's like, top secret, you're working on ammunition for the military or whatever, but I don't know, and then like this stuff, like it looks like a volcano or something like went here, and this is like it just got like all these trains just like chilling, no engine on them, just like left train. I'm just like, so are they like even like transporting shit out of this place or like what, and then but what brought that up was I'm just driving down this road, right? And then of course you got connected to here is this National Guard, which it has, but that's like one of the most like lockdown buildings that I've ever seen. To be honest, with the big old gate in the front. But over here, conveniently, Liberty Hill Cemetery. Oh, and Liberty Hill is the same name as that school that we looked at, which was right here at Mount Carmel Elementary School. That was also Liberty Hill, that they changed the name for some reason. But I was just noticing, like, dude, it's like random as shit. Like they got this whole area here, on this side of the river, and all this jungle and stuff that's like all within this area. Like what the fuck, like that. This whole thing has an underground facility. This whole thing is like a base for like this like this extraterrestrial entity. But I just wondered, like, and I just finally, one day just freaking went through here, and then sure enough, like it looks like people are like walking through, getting over this gate all throughout here. You can see like a cut through this mark location where something has definitely been walking through, and it's like such a like a covert, like you probably don't have that many people come to the cemetery, so you just, and then of course they have like a red light camera right there, so you're also getting documented who's coming in and out of this place, right? And then like there's a gate down there and stuff, and it's just like that's freaking weird. Like you have a main entrance here, right? You have a main entrance here, right? That they do the check-ins and stuff. But then you have like a vulnerable as fuck area that can gain access to the ammunition dump. Like what the fuck? And then of course, what's great, what blew my mind up was then of course, I'm a the train has been super highly compromised, but I think checked out this energy plant somewhere. I think, yeah, this energy plant. First thing was I actually thought that it was this was the energy plant. Turned out to be a freaking cattle farm that was huge as fuck. And then of course, like I pulled up here and I'm looking for the energy plant, and then I get like rolled up on by like two people, and one of the guys was like a clean cut, Hispanic guy, and I'm like, what the fuck? That dude looked like a lieutenant, of like a cartel. So I was like, whoa, okay. And then it got out of there, but then like finally went over here, and I'm just like looking. It's like so isolated, keep out signs, but then everyone, like people were riding bikes through this thing, and then like I see like areas where like you go down the road. Right, where is it? Yeah, you go down this road, right, and then like it just like lines up right there where the train track is. Like you see this street right here? Like this is like, dude, like this is how the fucking cartel is like smuggling guns and drugs and stuff, or like human trafficking. Like you can just pull up right here. It's like not even like this energy plant is like not even like secure. Like everything is just like open, and it's like tiny as shit. But all this land, like what the fuck? And it's just like that's what they're fucking moving. So I'm like, if that train's going to the ammunition dump, then that means they're getting advanced military ammunition if they can get that train to stop, and then they can also transport to covertly, right? And it's just convenient that both of these, like that cow farm, and then this place is right here, and then you got a golf course here, which by the way, cartel was hella in Hawaii with all these golf courses and stuff too, and that's actually where they met up to like talk to each other and like coordinate with each other. It was like a convenient place where you can get a bunch of high profile people in without like drawing too many eyes, right? Commonplace right there. So like, what I'm saying? Like it's just so that's just showing. This is just and of course this is like, that's 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 that that's that this is a global thing. Canada fucked, Mexico fucked. You know what I'm saying? Like Hawaii fucked, Devil's Playground, most isolated place. That'd be the perfect place that I would try to run any covert operations that I was being criminal, and it is, fucked. You know what I'm saying? So like, I can't do this alone. And and the government is only now becoming aware of the severity of the issue. So we need help. I need help. So I'm trying to give you the keys to how to do this effectively. Use your discernment. You be smart. Put your eyes on the enemy. I'm trying to put you on game. Watch the Voyager series by Ashiana Dean. I have the download link. It's on my Facebook page. You know what I'm saying? I think that's... I'm trying to think of anything else. And of course, I'm really like, shooting myself in the foot by saying this, but like I said, the best defense is a good offense. And right now it's easy to attack me because I'm isolated. But if we get the whole United States population, all our, the legions, the American legions, those people, our veterans, anyone, if they can all just start like getting into gear, using their experience, like when we disperse in numbers, they can't coordinate their attacks, right? If we get everyone doing it, oh my God, like it would overwhelm the AI system, guaranteed. You know what I'm saying? But you got to do this because what ends up happening, that has happened here, is they start releasing toxic gas, appearing as fog. Storms will come, fires will happen. So that's why it's important to make sure that you have that split conscious attention, for the mind thing, the face mask, all that stuff, because that's how they use deterrence to get compliance with the population to not move and to allow things to continue, right? But it's a necessary thing. We just have to protect ourselves, arm yourselves, prepare for a doomsday scenario, start getting supplies, in case like the grid shuts down, anything, water, food, perishables, start putting that in your arsenal as well, being prepared for anything like that. Stock up, get gas tanks, right? Get barrels of gas, keep that stored up in your house just in case. You know what I'm saying? Like this is like, and we have to really start like planning like that. You know what I'm saying? Like we got a domestic threat underneath our feet, And when in if we need to play ball, we need to be ready to play ball. So even like getting up on your ammunition, I can't. The only thing I can work around is getting an airsoft gun or an electric gun, which I hear is always like just as powerful as a firearm. But my probation says I can't own a firearm, and that is not the same thing. So what I'm saying? It's just I can't find work because you also get blacklisted when you do this. So the best thing to do is to make sure you have employment already before you start doing this, because afterwards you'll get blacklisted and and no business will want to touch you then. But if you're within a business, that business will actually help you already because you're already in things. So they can't, what I'm saying, because they attack these businesses, the owners and all that stuff, and be like, hey, if you hire this fucking guy, we're going to cut all your ties, your loans, all that stuff, whatever they use to coerce them to do it. Right. So, and then you got to make sure you're on their toes and don't do anything stupid. Don't make mistakes at work. Don't give them a reason to justify firing you and stuff. It's a different, this is not easy. And it's a big ask. I know it's a big ask, but again, like, I can't do this alone. And like the alternative is to let all of the fear, all of the distortions, all the corruption, everything has been guided by these extraterrestrial entities that has been here for millions of years, fucking with humanity, right? And that shit is gonna end. It needs to end. I'll do this shit, goddamn it, by my whole fucking self if I have to. You know what I'm saying? I just hope I don't have to, but I'll do everything I can, as best as I can, for as long as I can, until I can't fucking move anymore. I don't care, you know what I'm saying? Or if I get locked up for 20 years, I don't give a fuck, you know what I'm saying? It has to happen. And this is a cry, a call to arms for help. You know what I'm saying? Just be smart, try not to break the law, try to be a good citizen, try to respect your government, respect your officers. Even if you're doing good, sometimes they still have to make it appear as if they are attacking, because they're also controlled too, right? So like as soon as like they catch an identity of you, they might pull you over some more. They might too, but as long as you're not breaking the law, you're not doing anything wrong, you're good, you're golden, right? And that's what they want. They want you to walk a straight line because they don't want to arrest you. They need you too, but they have to, what I'm saying, make appearances, right? And like and act like they're like trying to deter all they can to minimize damage from their end, because their families is also probably being threatened and stuff. So it's a very complicated dynamic. Call me, reach out to me, comment if you want more questions. I'll give you the how-to manual as best as I know it, and just what my experience has been. I've been at this 3 years, working on 4 years. So I got a lot of experience in this thing, and I can't say that I went out unscathed figuring this shit out. Honestly, I had to go. I got arrested like 3-4 times. Did probably like a year and a half in jail total. You know what I'm saying? And of course they paint you out as if like you're this horrible bad person. And I had to get through all that stuff and just stay determined and focus on the mission. You know what I'm saying? So I got a lot of experience to give you insight on or whatever. If this isn't enough, but I just want people to be safe, smart, and just brave. Thank you.